Hello, so today I'm going to give you some tips on how to feel comfortable in the Asian squat. So, the Asian squat. Everyone can feel comfortable in the Asian squat, but it does take a bit of time if you're not used to it. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to get into this position. But just to show you how comfortable it can eventually be, I'm going to do my little introduction on the benefits of the Asian squat while I'm squatting. So it's called the Asian squat nowadays. When I first got into squatting, we just used to call it the squat. I can't actually remember when I first started squatting, at least 40, 50 years ago even. But actually most young children, toddlers especially, often quite naturally go into the squatting position and play with it. Yes, toddlers do have more flexibility in their ankles than adults, and that's why it's so much easier. But we can all regain that flexibility. Part of the reason why so many people find it uncomfortable in the squat is because we're not used to it, because we sit on chairs a lot of the time. On a chair at our work, on a chair in the car or on the bus. We spend a lot of our time sitting. We sit down to eat. We sit down to go to the toilet. In most traditional cultures, including in Europe, before we had chairs and cars and all of that, we would just squat most of the time, because squatting rather than sitting on the ground, of course, is more hygienic. We're a bit further away, and our ancestors, Asian or Western, would eat and chat and spend hours in this position. They would also go to the toilet. Not until not that long ago, even in many European countries, we would have toilets where basically you squatted. And squatting is a very good position for letting go, for releasing. And that includes giving birth. And again, also in the West as well as in the East, women traditionally would give birth in some kind of variation of a squatting position. It might be a standing squatting position. I gave birth to both my children in the squatting position. It actually felt quite instinctive. I didn't think about it. I just practiced squatting beforehand, and it was a position I always enjoyed. And it's a position that I've taught many of my clients and students, and many of them have also given birth squatting. So it takes a bit of time, probably, if you're not used to it, to be comfortable in this position. But in this position now, I've got my hands together, because you can use your elbows to slightly push your knees back, and you could actually move in this position. If you get uncomfortable after a while, just move, and we'll be exploring that. But you might think, well, why is it good to squat? Basically because it gives a lot of strength and flexibility to our legs and to our pelvis, which are key areas for our basic posture, also for elimination, whether or not we give birth or eliminate more sitting. At least we can get more flow in our body, flow of blood, flow of our lymph, flow of energy, and also it's quite good for our lower back, because our lower back's nice and open, and also for our gluteal muscles, our buttock muscles, which are often quite tight. A lot of people in modern societies have backache problems, and many people believe that one of the factors why is because we spend so much time sitting. So if you can learn to do lots of things in the squatting position, like gardening, like reading, like relaxing, even relaxing, then it's going to be very good for your overall health and well-being. Also for balance, which especially as we get older, keeping balance is essential. So we also, for just moving around, picking up and bending down, if we can use our legs and our pelvic floor. I've done a whole video on the importance of the pelvic floor linked to the squat, and also our abdominal muscles. That's going to be much better for our back. So when I want to go to standing, I will extend my arms and I'll really try and push down in my feet and use the strength in my legs to slowly come to standing, and that's really good for my back. Now when I'm standing, we can practice going down into the squat. That's a way of getting used to it. In fact, before we go into the full squat, you might want to try with your feet fairly wide apart and just get a bit of practice, just checking your knees feel okay, your pubic bone feels okay, your lower back feels okay, and this just warming up your body a little bit, because most people that aren't used to squatting need to do a bit of warm up first. You're not going to go straight into a squat, so warm up. Another thing you can practice with your feet quite wide apart, your toes slightly out, is to sit down into the standing squat. So feel like you're just leaning back in with your sacrum as though you're about to sit down on a chair, and then hold this position. In this position you can have your hands together or extended, and that's quite good for strengthening your legs. And from there you can also go down into a full squat, but if you want to go into the full squat, have your feet either hip width apart or a little bit wider. So another option is that you can use a wall behind you, put your back against the wall so you make sure your back is nice and flat, and then just sink down. You can slightly adjust your feet as you go down, but keeping your back nice and straight against the wall, you sink down into the squat. So you can practice doing that, coming up and coming down. When you're in the squat, a lot of people do find the back of their ankle, their Achilles tendon, is quite tight amongst other muscles like our glutes and our leg muscles. So you might need to use a block or a cushion that you put under your heels to start with. So you have your heels on a block, and then you'll probably find that's a lot more comfortable. And another variation that I quite like is put your hands on the floor, and rather than just sitting in the squat, just practice by rocking from side to side. So you're going to get some stretch on one ankle, and then on the other ankle you move out your pelvis a little bit, and this, you might find that it's easier to be in this position for longer, and then bit by bit sink back into the squat, rest a moment, breathe. Yes, it's important to relax, so really be aware of your breath, and with your out breath you could actually focus on drawing up your pelvic floor as well. Another way you could practice is with somebody else. So you both try and squat. You could do it from standing, and then you're holding onto someone else's hand. You can use their body weight to just lean down into the squat, and then again you could practice the squat with your partner, rocking and moving, and then coming down fully. If you want to do some side stretches in the squat as well, with your arms just moving from side to side, and then hopefully that's given you a few ideas of how to start getting comfortable with the squat, and then you can include it every day as part of your life and enjoy it like I enjoy squatting.